Okay, welcome everyone to another edition of the Steamin Steve Hand review. I'm broadcasting from the Rio. Today is Wednesday the 27th, I think. Yes, Wednesday, June 27th. And I'm at the D&B Poker Publishers booth, which is right outside of the main tournament area here at the Rio. And if you're in Vegas right now, you should definitely stop by the booth. You can pick up copies of all of the best poker books that are out there right now, of course, including From Vietnam to Vegas, my book with Quy Nguyen, in which we review over 170 key hands from his main event championship. It's a great book, and you can get autographed copies of it here, autographed by Quy himself, and you might even catch him coming by the booth here. In addition, we have all of Jonathan Little's books, and Jonathan has been stopping by the booth a lot, and we've got autographed copies of Excelling at No Limit Hold'em, which is his bestseller. So come on by the booth. The other thing I wanted to remind you about before we get into the hand review is this Saturday at 1 p.m. is our meet and greet at the TGI Fridays at the Gold Coast, which is right next door. So again, if you're in Vegas right now, you can go onto our website and buy tickets for that for $20, or just show up at the TGI Fridays and you can buy tickets at the door there. $20 gets you lots of good food and a drink ticket and door prizes. And I'll be there, and Jonathan Little and Dan and Byron, who are the D&B from D&B Poker, will be there, and Heather and Paul, who are our bloggers and social media folks, and some other people perhaps. And I think I said Jonathan Little. He'll be there as well. So come on by to that, 1 p.m. this Saturday. That's June the 30th, over at the TGI Fridays at the Gold Coast next door. Okay. Let's get into our hand for this episode, and I'm going to switch out of full screen mode here and bring up the hand replayer. Okay, so the user that submitted this hand is Yazder, and he asks the very simple question, should I fold the turn? As I always tell you, you can submit your own hands if you just go into your saved hands database, and you'll look for a red post button on there. Just hit the post button, and it will take a video replay just like this, and it will put it in our forum so that other APT users can give you comments on how you played the hand, and sometimes I'll possibly pick out your hand for one of my hand reviews. So we're going to look at this hand here. Let me pull it up a little bit higher here. And so the question asked was, should I fold the turn? But as usual, I'm going to look at the whole hand. I'm not just going to start right on the turn, because as you know, occasionally, on a very rare occasion, sometimes mistakes on earlier streets can set you up in situations on the turn where you shouldn't have gotten yourself in the first place. So let's start out pre-flop with this hand. And by the way, what we're looking at here may look like a tournament just because the stacks are so big, but this is actually the 9 max cash game. It's just that our user has chosen the blinds to be 500, 1,000, which is the default blinds for this KGB's Dungeon level here. So the blinds are 500, 1,000. As you can see, we're pretty deep here. We've got 200 big blinds, and Callie, the one that raised here, is 150 big blinds deep. So we're pretty deep stacked here, and we get king queen from the cutoff, and we're already facing a raise. This is not a great situation. Let's see what our hero did here. So our hero decided to re-raise here. So I'm not a big fan of the re-raise here. The stacks are pretty deep, as we noted, and this isn't a hand that is going to play really well deep stacked. We'd prefer to have a suited hand. Hands that can make the nuts are going to play much better when we're deep stacked like this. The problem with re-raising Callie here, let's hover over Callie and let's see what kind of player she is. It says she's a tough, deceptive pro. The problem with re-raising here is, first of all, we're playing in position, and so we want to re-raise a little bit less often when we're going to be in position anyway, because that defeats the power of being in position. The quicker we get all the chips in, we want to, when we're in position, go to the flop with higher stack to pot ratios, because we have a big advantage on our opponent by being in position. So that's just one factor to consider here, though. The other factor to consider, though, is what is the reason we are 3-betting here? Are we value 3-betting, or are we semi-bluff 3-betting here? Now, if we're value 3-betting, that means that there must be some hands in Callie's range that she's going to call us with here that we're ahead of, and I don't really see a lot of those. I see the hands we're going to get called by here, unfortunately, are big pairs and ace-king and ace-queen, and king-queen is really crushed by the range it's going to call us, or sometimes we're even going to get 4-bet by Callie here. So we're not really playing well against her range if we're value 3-betting here. Now, if we're semi-bluff 3-betting, I think there's better hands we could choose to semi-bluff 3-bet with here. This hand actually flops pretty well, whereas something like ace-5 suited, aces with a wheel, suited aces with a wheel card are nice semi-bluff 3-betting hands. Suited connectors are good semi-bluff 3-betting hands. This really isn't a good semi-bluff 3-betting hand, so it really doesn't qualify as a good value 3-betting hand, nor is a good semi-bluff 3-betting hand. So I'm not sure if I really like the 3-bet here. Believe it or not, it's not even really a great calling hand. I think I would call with it here, but I'm not expecting to, in the long run, make a big profit by calling here, because again, one of the problems with that is it still isn't a hand that is going to play that great multi-way, and we might invite one of the blinds in if we just call. We're also, we don't know a lot about the players in the blinds, but we might get squeezed by one of the players in the blinds. So I think it's a little bit nitty just to fold it, but just keep in mind if you do call here, we're going to definitely want to practice pot control. We're not going to want to get stacked with king-queen, and just remember it's not going to be super profitable in the long run to play king-queen here, even though we will be in position, which is nice. So, but our hero did go ahead and raise, so let's go ahead and see what happened. So our hero raised and gets called, and then looks like Callie bets out on this flop, and we decided to raise. And again, unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with our hero's action here. I don't think this is a raising hand here. I think it's just a calling hand. We certainly can't fold. We flop top pair with second kicker, so we're not going anywhere, but it's just a little too aggressive to raise here. We're getting closer to saying that we want to play for stacks here, and we don't want to play for stacks really yet. So this is not good pot control in my opinion. Again, we want to look at, is this a value raise or is it a bluff raise? It really isn't either of those in my opinion. There's not a whole lot of draws out there. This board is pretty dry. There's not a lot of reason to raise here. I think you're much better off just to call here and see what Callie does on the turn. Let's look at all the hands we could be behind here. We're behind aces, we're behind kings, there's only one combo of queens left out there, but we're behind that. She could have sevens, there's 3 combos of sevens, so we're up to 16 combos already. And then we've got ace-queen, which there are 8 combos of ace-queen, so we've got 24 combos we're behind now. So there's a lot of hands she could have that we are behind already at this point. And that's not to say we can't be ahead at this point, but there's not a big risk in letting her see the turn card and letting her, let's keep her range as wide as we can, and let's let her fire another barrel on the turn if she is in fact trying to bluff us, and let's not bloat the pot too much here. So unfortunately we haven't even gotten to the turn yet, which the hero's question was, should he have folded on the turn? But I think there's already 2 big improvements we could have made to the way it was played pre-flop and the way it was played on the flop here. So I'm not sure how well I'll be able to evaluate the turn action given the way it's been played so far. But let's go ahead and so I'm guessing we're going to get called by Callie here, and we're going to go to the turn. And so Callie Callie called our flop bet and then decided to just go ahead and bet out on the turn here. And it's a really smallish bet. It's about a quarter of the pot. So I guess, I'm kind of wondering what, it's kind of an interesting way she played it by just calling on the flop and then calling our raise on the flop and then betting out a quarter of the pot size on the turn. It kind of looks like a defensive bet of some kind, or maybe she did pick up something on the turn there. She could have had pocket deuces, but I don't think she's got. I think that would be kind of rare. She could have something like ace, king of spades that now would have picked up the flush draw. But again, it seems kind of seems kind of odd that she would make such a small bet if it was semi-bluff. You'd think if she had ace-king of spades, she would either just check it or she would just shove with that. So, so I'm not really seeing a lot that she has here other than just she's making a defensive bet. I'm not saying we're ahead. I'm saying that she could very well be making this bet with ace-queen or even pocket kings or maybe even pocket aces here. So, yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for what to advise the hero here. I guess you kind of have to still call this, and if she shoves on the river, I guess I would fold it maybe. But again, I think the hand was misplayed before getting to this point, and so I think the improvements to be made are pre-flop and on the flop, and now we've kind of gotten ourselves into a little bit of a pickle here, and we're kind of compelled to call this, and I don't know what we're going to do on the river. So let's see what did, in fact, transpire on the river here. And she makes another smallish bet. This one is even smaller than the last one. This is like a fifth of the pot, maybe even smaller than that. So again, yeah, it's tough to think of much of anything that we're ahead of at this point, but with a bet that small, I guess we kind of got to call it, but we're going to lose the vast majority of the time. So again, I think the moral of the story is not to get yourselves into a situation like this, and practice better pot control by not not three betting pre-flop, and especially the raise on the flop. I don't like that at all. When you're in position on the flop like that, there's just no reason to raise with top pair second kicker. Just call it and let her do the betting and let her bet again on the turn. So here it looks like, yeah, our hero's going to call this, and most likely he's going to lose. And he does in fact lose to ace-queen, so it kind of makes sense the way she played it. She was just kind of making a defensive bet there on the turn in the river. Wanted to show down her top pair top kicker by making a really small bet. She could possibly get some value from a hand like king-queen. So good job extracting a lot of money from us by Callie. And all right, I think that's about all I have to say about this hand. Again, please submit your hands to the forum so that we can review them. And thank you again for being a member of Advanced Poker Training. And don't forget to come down to the D&B Poker booth here at the Rio. All right, this is Steamin Steve, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye.